a good sign.
Grace and peace, everyone, brothers and sisters. There is a time for everything under the heavens. There is a time to learn, a time to live, a time to wonder, a time to believe, a time to speak, and a time to poet. And today is a time to poet. So, without further ado, we're going to start with a few books that I have here in front of me today, y'all, and these are 5 different poetry books that I absolutely adore. So of course we had to start none other than with my favorite poet. Y'all see it, Rudy Francisco. Rudy, get into it. Rudy, Mr. Rudy Francisco. Period. I absolutely love his poetry, y'all. I watch him on everything. I watch him on Poetry Please. I watch him on The Bud and Poetry, which is who published his book. Has he performed all right about now? If he did, I done seen it. He performed in Toronto. Saw that. You know what? He needs to do more shows in the South. I don't know how he feel about the South or whatever, but babe, I live in Memphis. If you want to come down, let me know. You can even go to Nashville. That's not too far away. Come down, okay? Anyway, y'all, so for those of you who don't know, I am a poet myself. I'm going to start out with that. I am a poet myself. And when it comes to just writing poetry, the process of recording it, if you're recording it, or performing it, if you're more of a spoken word artist, I have performed a few times at different open mic nights and even poetry slams, things of this nature, and they have been really helpful in terms of confidence, just building confidence in the stuff that I write, but also in who I am as a person and as a poet. So yeah, one of my dreams, I will share it with y'all. I'm going to share it with y'all because I'm going to document this. And I'm going to come back later and tell y'all how God worked it out. So one of my goals right now is to eventually get to the point where I am a feature on Right About Now. Like, Right About Now has a lot of different... First of all, let's talk about that. They are in certain cities. I see them sometimes in Chicago, in Boston, Atlanta. Of course, the home base is Houston. Sometimes they over in Philadelphia. But, I matter too. I matter too. Oh, they came to New Orleans a few times when I went to school there. So that was good, but it wasn't frequent enough, So, I don't know. What do they need? They need to let me know what they need to have more cities added to the list, to the set list. Let me know, because they probably wouldn't do Memphis. They probably wouldn't do it, and that's okay. Memphis actually has a lot of art and culture, which y'all don't know. Y'all really missing out. Y'all ain't never heard of our music. I know you have, but I ain't gonna get into that. I ain't gonna get into that right now. But if you could please do a nearby city, maybe that would be helpful. But yeah, that would be one of my dreams. And if not right about now, I'm content where I am. But if not them, then maybe somewhere else where I can perform more and just showcase my artistic talent in that way. Going back to number 1 on the list, we have Helium by Rudy Francisco. Now, I actually bought this book a few years ago, and it's so thin, y'all. But it took me forever to read it because I had other books to read in between. Of course, I was still in school. But, y'all, I finished this book. After finishing it, I immediately said to myself, I'm going to read this again. And I will be reading this again. This is an amazing book. I absolutely recommend this book to Black boys, specifically Black boys who consider themselves to be creatives in some way. You may be a poet, you may be a musician, you may be a singer, you may do sports. Whatever it is that you do, that you have a craft, I feel like he is speaking to you. Even Black boys who may be seen as outsiders. Maybe you're into certain things that people wouldn't normally align with the Black community. But please remember that being Black is not at all a monolith. And he expresses that multiple times throughout the book. So I really recommend this for all Black people in general. So now I'm going to read a few different quotes from the book and what they made me think about, so you can think about if this is something you would like to buy. So from his poem Adrenaline Rush, I really highlighted being Black is one of the most extreme sports in America. Being Black is knowing there's a thin line between a traffic stop and the cemetery. And I really like the way that he writes about his perspective as a Black male and the controversy surrounding police brutality. And even one of his other poems, that poem I just quoted from, was called Adrenaline Rush, and another one that related to that one is called Skin Part 2. And this one reminded me that when you are Black, you are never alone. And that quote really encompasses the Black experience. Like, when you're Black, people are always watching you to see what you will do next, what you will mess up next, so they can blame you. Another poem that I really liked was Lopsided. And in this one it says, the language of those who are just as afraid of commitment as they are of being alone, and we speak it like it's our native tongue. And this really spoke to me about the male loneliness epidemic, about how a lot of men are really losing themselves, losing connection with those around them, whether it be family, whether it be friends, and in their friendships not really growing past surface level, so they feel more and more alone. Another poem that I really liked was, I liked every single poem, but I'm gonna try to keep it short, was the poem called Sip. And this reminded me that I need to learn how to take a compliment and not overthink it. But you know, I'm working on it. And the last one that I really wanted to point out was Page. And this one simply resonated with me about writer's block. So sometimes I know I have these dreams of, writing 5 poems by next year. If you watch my gap year's goals, one of them was I want to write 5 new poems by next year, because most of the poems I've been performing recently at these poetry slams have been old things that I wrote maybe 2-3 years ago. So I really want to hone that in, but I've been blocked, y'all, so continue to pray for me about that. I could not go on without mentioning Rifle Parts 2, which says, I came home with bloody knuckles, and it was the first piece of artwork we hung on the fridge. And this talks about toxic masculinity and how people become addicted to this negative form of praise, like, oh, you beat him up, you abused this person, you did this, things that would in a society are wrong to do. However, many men are praised for these things that they do to other people, and how that can form toxic masculine thought. Throughout this book, I even wrote little asterisk marks. I'm not sure if you can tell, but this is my honest poem. Here is If I Was a Love Poet, and the next one was something about the girl at Starbucks. To the girl who works at Starbucks down the street from my house on Delmar Heights Road, I swear to God, I'm not a stalker. I wrote asterisk marks on all the different poems that I've seen him perform before, and this is very reminiscent. So this is very much so old school mixed with new school. A lot of the things that you've probably seen before that now you get to read in print, into new things that he had been storing up. So overall, love his poetry, and I definitely recommend this book. The second book is Sorry I Haven't Texted You Back. Is this upside down? Sorry I Haven't Texted You Back by Alicia Cook. Now, this book was there for me, y'all. This book was there for me during those hard times, those hard moments. So I want to say I got this around 2020, 2021-ish. That was back when I actually started to write poems myself. And I was like, okay, let me read a little poetry book or something. And I picked this up off the shelves. And what really caught my eye about this one was the back, and it had perfectly described everything that I had been feeling, and I was really drawn to the relatability of this book. Now, this is published by Andrews McMill Publishing House. So I'm going to read to you guys quickly the back, and I'll even put up a picture so you guys can follow along with me. Hi, sorry I haven't texted you back. I've been anxious and depressed. I haven't had time to catch my breath. You know how life gets. I'm so drained, I can't even collect the energy for the most menial of tasks like texting you back or washing the one dish in the sink. The weather has been beautiful, right? Yesterday I fought off a panic attack while I was driving. I had to pull over because my vision was blurred. I focused on how blue the sky was. I haven't washed my hair in 3 days. I just want to sleep all the time, but if I told you, you would want to uncover a reason behind all of this, and there is no tangible reason you would accept as valid. How are you? I hope well. Let's get dinner soon. Now, this is a lot. This is a lot to digest. I even have our other books, Stuff I've Been Feeling Lately. I can't remember which one came out first, but I have both of them. I finished this one, and I'm going through Stuff I've Been Feeling Lately. But y'all, I'm on my second read of this, and this is really good. I would recommend this to people who are struggling with maybe anxiety and depression, and they're really looking for an outlet. This book makes you feel seen, and it makes you feel heard. It reminds me of those times where someone asks you how you're doing, and we get used to the mundaneness of saying fine, I'm good, even when things aren't. And so this expresses all her bottled up feelings and emotions that she feel like she can't tell other people. I absolutely love that it is representing a cassette tape, because one thing that she does is at the end of every track is what she calls them. She writes currently listening to. So currently listening to this song by this person, and she even puts the author of the song, y'all. And it's so amazing because I've started to do this as well. Sometimes if I'm journaling, or sometimes if I'm writing a poem, I'll put what music inspired it. And I'm not sure, this is just speculation, I'm not sure if she's writing what song inspired the poem or what song she was listening to while she wrote the poem. But either way, I absolutely love this. I'm trying to find the pages that I want to share with you guys. So one of the tracks I really want to highlight is track number 16. And without telling you really too many details about what it's about, here's what I wrote at the end. I wrote, "This is why we should always make an effort to be nice to others, because you never know someone else's situation or what they are truly going through." Another track I really admired was track 56, and I underlined the part that says, "It's wanting to be how everyone expects you to be." And on the side I wrote, "But you just know you can't keep up the act for so long, so why even bother?" And this is also a poem for people pleasers as well, people who have succumbed to peer pressure about their lives. With track 53, I wrote, "Sometimes the best thing that could happen is for us to not get what we thought we wanted." And there are so many times I've wanted for something, I prayed for something, and then I didn't get it. And later on, I saw the blessing in me not getting exactly what I wanted. The last track I want to highlight is track 73. And I underlined the part that says, "I wrote the saddest poem of my life sitting on a sunny beach in the Hamptons." And the juxtaposition of this is deafening. It is so absolutely amazing that people think just because you have nice things or you're visibly successful that you're happy at the same time, and that's not always the case. Another thing I really like about her books in general is in the beginning she has the poems that she has written and she names them tracks. However, this is part A. Once you get to part B, she has the exact same poems that she wrote in part A. However, she black out poetries them. Like Look at this. She goes back over them and uses them, upcycles them, if you will, as blackout poetry. And it's amazing, the duality of one thing. Again, last but not least, I'm recommending this book to those who are struggling with anxiety and depression, also people pleasing and peer pressure. If that sounds like you, this book will help. Now, the third book, y'all, is none other than Swimming Lessons by the Lily Reinhart. Now, I first came into contact with Lily Reinhart from Riverdale. Like, I watched the first 3 seasons, then it started to get weird and I just couldn't follow. So yeah, I stopped, but I really liked her work as an actress there. But I didn't know she wrote poetry, so you can imagine my surprise when I was walking through Books A Million and I saw this on the shelf. I was like, okay. I was drawn to the cover of Swimming Lessons. Then I realized it was her on the back. So this was published by St. Martin's Publishing Group, and it says that Lily Reinhart is an actor and advocate for mental health awareness. Swimming Lessons is her first collection of poetry. This book is absolutely beautiful. I recommend it to all women who are maybe single, who are thinking about a relationship, if that person is right for them, if they are equally yoked with that person, if the person even likes them. This is definitely the book that will help you answer those questions and help you think of more questions that you probably didn't even think to ask your partner or yourself. So as it says on the back, it does highlight the depth of the female experience, and I will say that I found that to be true while reading this. So this explores not only grief but also young love in its essence, of the infatuation of finding a new person, falling in love with that person, and then ultimately having some insecurities start to build because of that person, whether or not they're attracted to you or whether or not they're even actually interested in you or are just there because of what you can do for them. Yeah, this is a really good book. I absolutely love the drawings in this book. The drawings in this book are absolutely amazing, and this poem in and of itself is one of my favorites, mainly because it expresses how superficial some apologies can be if they aren't really said from the heart. So this starts off with saying apologies are a band-aid, and it also says that if I apologize, would you be cured? Or is that just a way of hiding the ugliness of the truth? And I wrote on the side that yes, sometimes apologies without a change of action can be superficial. Another part of this book that I really liked was the part where she said, life doesn't provide a perfect stage. You will be left longing for moments that were right in front of you because you couldn't see how special something ordinary could be. I love that she used the word ordinary because oftentimes we're looking for something extraordinary, something like no other, something that's not mundane, but there's so much beauty in the mundane things of life. There's so much beauty in the small things in life. We just have to take time to smell the roses. We just have to take time to see them. Overall, really good book. Highly recommend if you have felt heartbreak before but you're looking to look for love again. If you have experienced young love before, maybe grief even, also depression and anxiety. Now, this fourth book is for my Christians out there. This is for the Christians, strictly for the Christians. This is for the Christians, period. And also a few non-believers. I highly recommend this book as well if you are a non-believer, because the title is Jesus with Dirty Feet, a down-to-earth look at Christianity for the curious and skeptical. And we really need to highlight the word skeptical right there, because this book answers so many questions about religion, specifically Christianity at its core, that so many people ask themselves. Why should I buy into Jesus? Who was Jesus? Why should I follow him? What are the benefits of Christianity? Does life have meaning? This book is really great at answering some of those questions. This book was written by Don Everts. And as it says, this was published by IVP Books. So I believe that's InterVarsity Press Books, Church, Culture, Mission. So he has another book. I actually got this from an InterVarsity conference. So yeah, he has another book that's called I Once Was Lost, and that's over there in my pile of other books that I'm going to recommend later on. But as far as poetry, this is really good. I'm going to read to you all the back of the book, and then we're going to discuss a little bit further. Most folks think of Jesus as a man who started Christianity, but it turns out he wasn't just a man, and he wasn't interested in religion. Some folks think of Jesus as an otherworldly religious leader, a great moral teacher, or maybe they don't think of him at all. But he had dirty feet, partied, cooked breakfast, and got himself killed. Who was this guy? Why did people hate him so much? And why should I care? This book is lovely. It discusses a lot of myths and stereotypes surrounding Christianity and what it means to be a Christ follower. And I highly recommend, if you're new in your faith, even if you're old in your faith, if you will, or if you're questioning, if you're curious, this is a really good book. Now let me see, what is something that I highlighted in here? Alright, so this book follows 7 main themes, and that is Christianity, Jesus, Christians, repentance, the church, prayer, the Bible, and salvation. Oh, that's 8 things. My bad, y'all. But what I love about this is because of those 8 themes, they have headings, and on the headings page they have the myth that most people believe, and then they go into the correction of that, and then after that the poems start, and they really are very spirit filled and very convicting. So the part about Christians says most people think Christians are harmless enough, though a bit more boring than most. But it turns out Jesus followers are by definition neither harmless nor boring. Another one says the church is a tribe. Most folks think church is an old building with plenty of stained glass and straight wooden pews. But it turns out calling a church a building is like calling a Jesus follower a 2x4. One of the last things I'm going to share is this part about salvation, and it talks about how most people think that salvation is some sort of heavenly retirement package or a comprehensive hell avoidance insurance policy, but it turns out salvation is more like an extravagant banquet that's being served right now. So y'all, if you are interested, I love the wording here about right now, salvation being served right now, because I believe that this is so true. We must serve Jesus right now. We must not use the excuse that we have more time and delude ourselves into waiting until the bridegroom comes back to realize that we ran out of oil. It is never too late to give your life to Christ as long as today is still today, as long as you still have breath in your lungs. So why wait? Do it today before Judgment Day, and that's my piece. In diving deeper into the realm of Christianity, if you have any questions, if you're a non-believer, not a Christ follower at all, but you're interested into why many of your Christian friends believe or why many people follow Jesus, definitely look at this book. A lot of people will see this and be like, Jesus with dirty feet. Yeah, his feet were dirty because his feet were on a pavement. He had a mission. This was a man on a mission coming to do his Father's will, and we are called to deny ourselves, pick up our cross, and follow him daily. I also really love the title of this book because I think many people will see it and be confused about why it says Jesus has dirty feet, and just my interpretation of it would be that Jesus came to serve and not to be served. He came to be a sinless lamb, sacrificed and died once and for all. A man with no sin became sin for our sins. He not only washes our feet, but cleanses our entire soul. His feet are dirty so we can be clean. So I highly recommend this book. Now, the last book I'm going to mention on here today is Vulnerable AF, and this is by Tariana Tank Ball. Now, I know her as Tank because I listen to her music with her band called Tank and the Bangers. If you've heard of that, please let me know in the comments and we could be friends. So this book is her debut poetry collection. However, she's been recording now for a long time. A lot of her music has been Grammy nominated, and also she has been performing in open mics and poetry slams since as long as I can remember. And it was very wonderful to be in her city, actually. So I went to school in New Orleans, which is where she's from. I actually knew a few people who knew her, and I ended up going to her show, y'all. I'll pop a few pictures on the screen about that. And she signed my book, and it says, "Love Tank, good luck with life," you know. Okay, thank you, my sister, my queen. I really appreciate this book. I read it my freshman year of college. There was this girl in my English class who quoted from this book during one of our poetry recitation projects, and I was like, "Girl, what book was that?" And then she sent me a picture of it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need this book," and I love her. So I ended up buying it, and I ended up reading it in 1 week. This is a super quick, easy read. You can read it in one day. Honestly, I was slacking, but yes, this is super quick. I would recommend this to people who are young and in love, young and trying to adult, young and trying to figure out what is life, young with a whole bunch of thoughts in your head that you feel like you can't express, a whole bunch of thoughts in your head that you feel like you can't say to other people, that it won't be received well, that it won't be understood. This is the book for you. I absolutely love this book. I've actually heard her read this before. This is Damaged Merchandise, Walmart. This is a really good book. Really good poem. Let me go to some of the parts that I love so much. Okay, so this poem is called Adam, and it says, "The first poem I ever wrote for him." And this poem actually reminded me of a lot of Julia Michaels songs. I don't know if y'all know her, but it reminded me of History as well as All of Your Exes. That one was really good. There's another one called Swings, and it reminds me about releasing your old self to make room for the new and evolved you. There's a last line in the poem Glare that says, "You will have to teach me the art of overlooking the sun," she being the sun. And I said, "Oh, to be callous, to be so unbothered, to be so detached, to be so dismissive. What I don't want to be. I don't want to be that person that lets love or heartbreak let me not believe in love anymore. I really don't want to be that person to where I am really being callous and so unbothered and so detached from love at all." So so one of the poems, I'll show you guys this picture. One of the poems that really resonated with me is called The Cycle, and she talks about how it's really hard when you think you can fix somebody. And she writes, "And realize that he was never yours to fix or heal. Now forgive yourself for pretending to be a band-aid and heal yourself." This was really good. I needed this girl. Y'all, it's exhausting trying to fix and heal somebody who first of all, don't believe they need to be healed or fixed, who don't believe that there's anything wrong, who don't believe in talking to somebody about their problems, who bottles it all in, but then expresses it only in the form of anger. Like, it's hard out here. So thank you. I recommend this book again if you are young and in love, if you're trying to figure out a few things about this here adult life. I strongly advise reading her work. Also, look up some of her work. Watch her music videos with her band, and I believe you will enjoy it. Did they do a Tiny Desk performance? I think she did Tiny Desk, y'all. Look that up. If I'm wrong, don't quote me, okay? So thank you again, brothers and sisters, for watching this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down in the comments. Did you know any of these books? Have you read them before? Do you know any of the authors? Please let me know again in the comments. So without further ado, grace and peace and mercy and truth to each and every one of you. And also remember to be open-hearted, open-minded, and open-handed to both God and others. Have a great day.
Good to know you're by my side, holding me